It's Raleigh Olmeyer. For those of you who don't know me, I am an attorney, and I've mostly criminal defense. I've represented people from traffic to second-degree murder. But tonight, I want to talk about a case that I've never actually represented someone on, is bestiality. Now, it's not that I'm against it. You know, I'm against bestiality, but I'm not against representing someone for bestiality. I have an aunt who's a member of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. She's like, Raleigh, how can you represent someone who drives drunk? I was like, well, if they're gonna pay someone to represent them, it might as well be me. So Brandon talked about this earlier, and I was like, fuck, there goes my whole set. But he only talked about it for a second. So, yeah, a couple years ago, there was a guy who got busted for fucking a horse at the City Park stables. And for those of you who don't know, those stables are run by NOPD. So the guy got busted for fucking a horse who was a cop. I don't know if he had a thing against the cops or if it was just he wanted to fuck a horse, but you know, and if you're so inclined, I would think that there'd be some issues with fucking horse besides the legal and moral and philosophical implications of fucking an animal. But horses are tall. You gotta bring a bucket or a stool or something to start off. And second, horses are fucking mean. I mean, you gotta touch them in the butt to walk, but just walk behind them so they don't freak out and kick you and knock your dick off. What do you do to calm them down so they don't freak out when you stick your dick in them? I don't know what this guy was thinking, but obviously he. And then you have a third thing, if you do fuck a horse, what if you have centaurs as babies? I mean, for those of you who don't know, centaurs are half human, half horse. They come from Greek mythology. And that was a long time ago. They were pretty cool with all kinds of different sexual issues, but to end up in mythology 3,000 years later that we still know about, obviously it was a fucking problem. But I have my girlfriend is a dental hygienist, and her one of the dentists that she worked for used to do missions at Angola, which is one of the worst prisons in America. It's certainly the most feared in Louisiana. And he's working on a guy, and he ends up saying, yeah, he's in Angola for bestiality. Now, I know what you're thinking. It was a goat, not a horse. And, goats, first of all, what the fuck did you have to do to get convicted for bestiality to end up at Angola? Second of all, it's called the farm. The Department of Corrections sent a bestiality offender to the farm where they have cattle and horses. I don't know if they have goats. But it seems like a poor choice, Hunt's or one of the other places probably would have been better. But so, it reminds me of an old joke. Certainly not one of mine, but it seems appropriate. So two shepherds are standing on the top of a glen in Scotland, and one of them's an old shepherd, one's his apprentice, and the young shepherd's obviously been out there a long while, and he says, "Let's run down there and grab one of those sheep and shag the shite out of it." And the older shepherd says, "Well, why don't we just walk down there and we can shag them all?" Yeah, it's not funny. My point is, don't fuck sheep, or goats, or horses, or cattle, or anything. What made me think about this is Brandon talked about the I didn't know there were two horses involved in the City Park thing, but what brought it up recently, I remember that, it was a couple years ago. Last week, there was a thing at NOLA.com, the same fucking guy who Brandon was talking about, who I planned on talking about before I heard Brandon fuck up my set, got arrested last week in California for doing the same thing. Now, I don't know if it was also a police horse, but I also don't know what he did to like avoid going to Angola prison, like the guy who got caught fucking the goat. But obviously he didn't learn his lesson, and obviously he had some issues. I guess so. My big point, along with some ramblings, is love and respect your animals. Don't molest your animals. And if you do have that inclination and need a lawyer, give me a call.